And we are back.
Back again. It's another episode of the Hoop Plug.
Yes, sir. And as always, rocking with you is your main man Firas in the building. And I got with me on this beautiful afternoon, Memorial Day. Happy holidays to everybody. My boy, Tyler in the building.
Yes, sir. Excited to be back. We've got a full show, a lot to get to. Celtics overcoming Marcus Smart's irrational confidence, the KD Kyrie drama in Brooklyn, and why the Knicks are responsible for Boston's first finals appearance in 12 years. You heard it right. Firas, how you feeling?
I was just about to ask you the same question, brother. I'm feeling good, man. It's Memorial Day. Got the day off from work. I'm feeling nice, as my boy Popcorn would say. So, we're going to keep it going. And I just turned 26. You know what I'm saying? So,
hey, yes, big birthday. Shout out to the guy, the co-host, the greatest. Big shouts out, bro. And yeah, man, I'm feeling good too because I feel like as a Knicks fan, an honorary NBA Finals team. Like I feel like I'm getting the respect we deserve, right? The thanks, the gratitude, all that. Yeah, it's a good spot. Good time to be a Knicks fan.
Well, I feel a little confused, but I'm sure you're gonna get into that a little bit later on to the episode. So I ain't gonna make you explain yourself too much right now.
That because I want to start the show in a different way. Something that's also funny to most, because NBA is kind of a funny thing, right? 3 years ago, the Nets got KD, they got Kyrie, and at that point in time, I bet all Nets fans would have swore they'd be in the finals at least once, twice. If not last year, definitely this year, right? They would have all sworn on that. But we are 3 years later, and in 2 of those 3 years, Brooklyn Nets haven't won one playoff game. And it's just so funny to me, so ironic, if you will, that the team Kyrie left for and the team KD left for are now playing each other in the NBA Finals. Yeah, sip the tea. It's appropriate right now.
I'm glad you understood the metaphor of exactly what I was doing. Don't get me wrong, I needed to get hydrated, but at the same time, it was all too well fitting. Ty, beautiful point, brother. I think nothing more needs to be said than the metaphorical tea sip. Let's just talk about the misfortunes of the Brooklyn Nets, bro. If you look at the roster surrounding them, man, they have like a very good chance from the beginning to win championships. You know what I mean? Now you add in the fact that James Harden shed his fat suit on that long walk over to Brooklyn from Houston. You know what I'm saying? We thought this team was going to be unbeatable, man. Just a short 2 years later, James Harden no longer on that squad and looking like a shadow of his former self. Kyrie Irving finally had the COVID ban lifted and it wasn't enough. And Kevin Durant already understands the trials and tribulations of carrying a team for a long season, multiple injuries throughout. You know what I'm saying? He's a killer. You know what I'm saying? Those shoulders, they're high off the ground, but he's too skinny for all that weight. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of baggage. Ain't enough room in this forum for all your baggage. Shout out whoever made that freestyle. I think it's Simba, man, bodied that freestyle. Look up the Simba freestyle. That's a complete sidebar. But back to basketball. Okay. That's not the end of the turmoil, right? Like, we are into the offseason. The Nets aren't even playing basketball games, and the drama's still rolling in. The latest, Kevin Durant and the Nets front office haven't spoken since the season ended. Then a couple days later, we're hearing that the Nets are rumored unwilling to sign Kyrie to a long-term extension, and for rightful reasons. But I heard that news, and I thought, wait, these two things are related. If you're the Nets front office, I'll be more. What's his name? Do you remember the GM's name? Sean Marks, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
I wouldn't have been able to help you out at all either way. So I'm glad you remembered.
All right. If I'm the Nets front office and Sean Marks, I'm like, we need to do what's best for the Nets. We can't just bend the will of KD and Kyrie, right? Kyrie is already talking about, oh yeah, well, this is where I wanted to do. Me and KD are going to run the ship here. We don't need a coach. We're going to be the GMs. Nah, you're not. Sean Marks needs to kind of distance himself from Kevin Durant so he can do what's best for the Brooklyn Nets. Because that doesn't technically mean keeping Kyrie. And you have to be able to make that move without it coming off like KD shipped Kyrie out, like what happens with LeBron. So to do that, you have to put out the story, oh, KD hasn't talked to the front office in weeks. So now, if you don't offer Kyrie, it doesn't look like it was KD saying, no, Kyrie, we can win without him. So I thought those two were related. And then we get the bomb. This hasn't been picked up as much. I don't know if there's as much credence behind it, but we hear the rumors now that if the Nets let Kyrie walk, Kevin Durant could demand a trade. So it's common knowledge that Durant is committed to playing with Kyrie. He said as much at his postseason or end of season presser. But the report and the rumor that letting Kyrie walk would open the door for KD to leave as well really makes this Brooklyn situation a little scary. Because you're just kind of facing the possibility that this could all be a 3-year experiment for nothing. 7 wins in the playoffs, getting you a second round exit.
Yeah, Ty, you hit all the main points on the head, right? There's a lot of different perspectives here, right? And obviously, I'm going to start off with the most obvious perspective to everyone listening at home and more so us for the most part, right? As fans, we want to see this team stay together, right? This team is so great if you just look at the on-paper roster. They've got to win a championship. So you want to see the Brooklyn Nets franchise do everything that they can to keep this team together, right? And to be quite frank, this Brooklyn Nets team cannot win without Kyrie. KD cannot win without Kyrie, and vice versa. Kyrie cannot win without KD. But you made a very, very important point when you were earlier on in your point when you were talking about Sean Marks. You've got to draw the line in the sand and let it be known. At the end of the day, you guys are 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA, but you guys are not Le GM James. You know what I mean? That's just what it comes down to. And Kyrie's time with LeBron in Cleveland, although great for his career, I personally think was detrimental. You know what I mean? Because I know Kyrie, or not gonna backtrack. I don't know Kyrie, but I feel like I understand his personality, right? He feels as if he was the person who should have been MVP, and he feels he's the one who won that championship with arguably the greatest player of all time on the floor with him, right? So there's a certain level of confidence that comes with that, right? And to be in the league, you have to be egotistical, almost egotistical to a fault, right? But he sees that earlier on in his career. LeBron at that point had been 12 to 15 years in the league at that point, right? So he had earned his stripes, earned his ranks to be able to do whatever it is that he wants. And LeBron is not an everyday guy. You know what I mean? Not to say that we've seen players like Kyrie before. His handles are probably the best we've ever seen. But you'll get another Kyrie before you get another LeBron James, if you get what I'm trying to say. And I say all that to say this, even with KD there, these guys don't run the team. You know what I mean? And they need to do something about that coach, because I love Steve Nash. Everybody loves Steve Nash. But at the end of the day, hugs don't win championships, But no, there's a lot of important points you made. And then Kyrie being there, right? I wouldn't pay him long-term as a general manager, as a coach, as someone in that front office, because at the end of the day, he hasn't proven to me, one, that he wants to be there long-term, and he's not there for the team. Again, we all have our beliefs. I'm glad that he stood strong for his, and at the end of the day, the COVID requirements and restrictions were lifted. You know what I mean? But, dude, they've needed him all season. A big part as to why they had this early bow out in the playoffs is because of the regular season rankings, right? If they had this full squad, if they had been 3-2 in the Eastern Conference like they were projected to be, the whole situation would be a little bit different. So there's a lot of important points that you brought up. And the most important one being is if Kyrie leaves, KD's leaving. They blew up this team for no reason. They got James Harden, lost James Harden, and all they're left with is Ben Simmons. Man, what a shitty predicament to be in.
Yeah, and they lost a bunch of picks, and they lost Claxton. No, they don't. It was Claxton, my fault. And they lost Jared Allen, and they lost Karis LeVert, and they lost Spencer Dinwiddie. It would be a disaster. It would be a disaster.
D'Angelo Russell.
Going back to drawing the line in the sand, I think it's okay if KD is pulling strings in the front office, but Kyrie definitely shouldn't. Kyrie, as talented as he is, and you went into it, you don't even know if he's going to play half the games. He's injury prone. And he always finds a reason other than basketball to not play basketball. So you got to count on that for at least 1 week of the season. So, I mean, I think we're on the same page. It's going to be interesting. We'll see what they decide to do. The two biggest off seasons for me are the Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. They got some real decisions to make, but if they play their cards right, they could be where the Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors are next year.
As soon as next year, you've said it 100%, man.
I've been seeing a trend for us, and I don't like it. Looking at Twitter, and people are saying this year's playoffs have been boring. And I disagree, man. Do y'all remember the first round? Maybe it's because a lot of y'all look back thinking Brooklyn was going to make it to the finals. I don't know. But the first round was phenomenal. We had Ja Morant in the West going crazy. Yeah. We had Anthony Edwards, Patrick Beverley thinking he was Kobe Bryant. We had there was a lot going on. And the conference semis were just as good. The conference finals sucked. I will give you that. We had more blowouts than I've ever seen. And until game 7 last night, nothing had been interesting. But it's just recency bias to me. The playoffs have been entertaining as last year at least. So I'm not sure where it's really coming from.
Yeah, man. People are quick to forget, bro. It really shows the nature of us as human beings for the most part, right? Short month ago, not even 2 months ago, it hasn't even been that long, right? We're watching 16 teams battle it out. Let's not even talk about how entertaining the play-in round was, right? People forget. Just as short as a month ago, we were saying this is one of the most exciting playoffs we've seen in a long time. One of the most evenly balanced playoffs we've seen in a long time, right? And that stayed true through and through, again, like you mentioned, until the conference finals, right? And it's a shame. You had a 7-game conference finals series go on in the Eastern Conference, right? And the 5-game blowout in the West was a much better series. It's kind of crazy.
We had game 7 in the Miami-Boston series. As we know, Boston took it home, winning that 4-3. And Celtics fans, on behalf of Knick Nation, you are welcome. All right. We know this season wasn't always sunshine and roses for you guys. You started 18-20, and it made sense. It was good journalistic work that shortly after winning the Eastern Conference, an NBA reporter asked Jason Tatum, when was the moment where it all started to change? Your season turned around and things started to shift. Jason Tatum, he was honest. He gave an honest answer, and he said, blowing the 25-point lead in the Garden to the New York Knicks with R.J. Barrett hitting the game winner right over me was the moment when things changed. And Knicks Nation, on behalf of you, I am saying to Celtic Nation, you're welcome. You're welcome for lighting a fire. You're welcome for being a source of inspiration, for spurring a run to the NBA Finals. That's all.
Hold on, I messed up the clap. I was trying to start with a very slow clap and gradually move into a standing ovation. But Ty, that was beautiful. Can't you see this tear rolling down my right eye, my right cheek, man? Oh man, that was beautiful. But that's amazing, right? That's amazing because you said it right. This Celtics started off their season abysmally. You know what I mean? It was a horrible start to the season. Started off under 500 in their first 38 games. You mentioned it. R.J. Barrett was looking like the MVP of the league in that game. You know what I mean? Right over Jason Tatum, though. I think he had 40 that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Went crazy. Evan Fournier was hitting everything. It was a beautiful, beautiful.
Great night for the Knicks. With that being said, you mentioned it. The run that they've gone on since has been pretty spectacular. You know what I mean? And I think it's important, and it's finally time. I've been trying to make this point for this entire episode, right? We've gotten to the Miami-Boston series. And to be quite frank, when the season started, I'll even go back to the playoffs, right? Besides the fact that these guys are ranked 1 and 2, these, for me, out of all the teams in the playoffs, or I should say at least for the Eastern Conference, this was, for me, the least likely matchup to happen in the Eastern Conference. I felt these were the 2 weakest teams, regardless of what their rankings were. I think they took advantage of good teamwork, regular season, where other teams like the Brooklyn Nets had just had a horrible regular season. The Milwaukee Bucks were there. I mean, if you look at who was in that Eastern Conference, you're thinking, okay, The Sixers are there. Miami Heat and Boston Celtics, you know what I mean? The Celtics, they start picking up some momentum after they sweep the Nets. Let's not forget about that. But besides that, man, it was a pretty boring Eastern Conference Finals between two teams who I did not expect to be there until Game 7, where things picked up a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And Game 7, I mean, I think we understand, right? To get to the NBA, not only does it take immense skill, you got to be lucky, you got to end up being at least 6'1". You got to have to be extremely confident. And Jalen Rose, big fan of the guy, coined the term irrational confidence players, right? You got guys like honorable mention Dion Waiters, some of the GOATs in this category like J.R. Smith, and some up-and-comers like Dylan Brooks, who was out of his mind shooting everything in sight. But an irrational confidence guy that needs to be talked about right now is Marcus Smart. Because Boston somehow found a way to overcome him thinking he was Steph Curry in Game 6 and shooting the last 5 shots in the game, in a close game, in a Game 7 against the Miami Heat. Like, Marcus Smart, there is a reason you're open, bro. There is a reason and a good one. Wow. He played pretty good Game 7. Like, he ended up with 23 points. Didn't shoot
24, but yeah.
Not from a good percentage, but still.
Yeah.
Wow. Irrational confidence gone wrong. Marcus Smart. That depoy done got to his head, man.
Hey, man, you ain't wrong at all. This dude thinks he's out here thinking he's GP. Listen, Marcus Smart, you're good on defense, but you are not Gary Payton, my brother. Hold it down, you know what I mean? But you said it. There's a reason why he's open. And honestly, Jalen Rose needs to trademark that term because you cannot describe it any better. And I like to think I'm an irrational confidence guy. You know what I'm saying? You see me pull up to the rec. You know, you're thinking, okay.
I will vouch for you. You are.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta let them know what time it is. Shoot, man, I be out there looking like a all-star reserve. Now, let me chill out. You know. But with that being said, no, I think it's a beautiful term. But no, Marcus Smart proved to us the definition of what that means last night. But in all seriousness, no, the game was really, really close. You had Jaylen Brown, you had Jason Tatum doing what they do, Marcus Smart, the three of them combined for over 70 points. You had a great game from Jimmy Butler until the end there, missed shot. But Bam Adebayo stepped up on the offensive end of the floor. And Kyrie, I'm not going to tell you Kyle Lowry showed up, but I mean, he gave you a little bit, enough to not, completely call him a bum, you know what I'm saying? Because he was playing horribly the rest of the finals, or the Eastern Conference Finals. But, yeah, so it was a good game. I think it's so fitting that the Celtics won the Eastern Conference Finals in the first year that the Larry Bird MVP trophy has been given out. No better way than Jason Tatum, the next up-and-coming Celtic, to win it, So that's going to give them some momentum going into the finals against the Warriors for sure.
Yeah, and as the NBA always does, they handle these things with class. They had a former Celtic legend out there to hand Jason Tatum with his Eastern Conference player or whatever, Conference Finals MVP trophy. I knew it as soon as it happened. A lot of folks are going to focus on that 3-point attempt by Jimmy Butler. Was it a bad shot? I personally don't think so. I was pulling for the Celtics because we just trashed the Heat on the last podcast and I wasn't trying to look bad. But when he took that shot, I was holding my breath. I thought that was a good look, and I'm not hearing it from anyone that says it otherwise. I'm not with it. But what I really want to know is, why did Tatum and Bam shake hands like they were teammates after the game? Like, Bam smiling ear to ear. And I'm thinking about, like, what is it? I had to look up, like, did they play
contract
together? No. Did they play in high school together? No. They were friends in 8th grade, but that's not enough. I figured it out. Why were they so excited? Because Bam is playing for the Celtics. Bam is a Celtic, bro. Until Game 7, Bam has been awful. And it's for a reason. He's really wearing green and white on the inside.
Bro, it seems like it, man. I'm trying to figure out if this fool is in a contract year, right? Because he was looking a little too extra friendly, man. He's like, all right, I'm going to sell out. You know what I'm saying? Next season, you're going to see me in the green and white. We're going to be at TD Garden. You guys need someone to replace Al Horford. I'm basically the better version of Al Horford. I know that's what they were saying. That's basically, they're covering their mouth. That's what they were saying. You know what I mean? So, but nah, you said it. Really, really surprising how poor Bam Adebayo had been playing throughout this Eastern Conference Finals. And I'd argue for majority of the playoffs, except for that Sixers series, right? I don't know why everybody looked like a bully against the Sixers. Shouts out to Fick, right?
So shifting to the other side of things in the Western Conference, we had Dallas losing the gentleman's sweep to Golden State 4-2-1. And that leak in the ceiling, the one that had Mark Cuban pulling his hair out on the sidelines, felt like foreshadowing. Yo, Mark Cuban was pissed. My boy is one of the richest owners in the league and still couldn't fix the roof.
Yeah, man, foreshadowing it was. And the way that I took it actually was that the leak was a metaphorical leak, as in this roster has a leak. There's some holes that need to be filled. You know what I'm saying? That this roster,
poetic, bro.
Thank you, fam. You know what I'm saying? Come from a long line of poets. No, I'm playing. But yeah, dude, no. To be quite frank, though, I think it was a foreshadowing, like you mentioned, of exactly how their season went. It's a team that not too many expected, just like Dallas, a city that whenever they get that far, nobody ever expects them. Big city, but at the same time, somewhat of a small NBA market. It's weird. You know what I mean? Very much a hometown team. You don't have too many Dallas fans in New York, is what I'm trying to say. With all that being said, though, man, this roster definitely outperformed the city. Dallas, Texas in general likes to think of itself as hard working. You know what I mean? So these guys worked hard. They shattered the expectations. They got further than anybody expected them to believe. I think in the Western Conference, they probably were the team everyone expected to be bound out in the first round. Not to say that Luka wasn't capable of doing it. It's just that's how weak the rest of the roster was surrounding him. But you mentioned it, Dallas. They escaped getting swept, But, man, what a tough series it was for them except for Game 4,
Yeah, and I don't think we have to spend too much time on it. We did put the nail in the coffin before Game 5 was played because we knew they had about reached their potential. But that doesn't overstate what a good season it was for Luka and the Mavs. And we know how good Luka is. They're going to be back. They're going to be back for sure.
Yeah.
All right, but what we all want to talk about.
And real quick. And shouts out to us, man. I mean, we predicted that Game 4 with confidence. Yeah, they're going to win Game 4. Luka's going to have a trip dub. Spencer Dinwiddie's going to have 20. Jalen's going to have 20, which is basically, for the most part, exactly what happened. So,
and
shouts out to us.
Game 5 loss. So, yeah, big shouts to the Hoop Plug. If you want to hear it first, keep it locked.
Yes, sir. But we do not condone any gambling addictions. Please call the gambling hotline if you have any gambling addictions. No,
that's facts. And we are not liable. All right.
Yes.
So, Warriors Celtics. Golden State will have home court advantage in their sixth finals appearance in the last 8 years. It's on the other side, Boston Celtic teams, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown in their first finals, Boston Celtics in their first finals in 12 years since they did it with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and the gang.
Yeah, man, it's going to be an exciting playoffs, man, but let's be real here. Everybody knows what this result is going to be in probably 5, more than likely 6 games. We have an experienced veteran team, and Ty's looking at me. He's like, might not even take that many. But we have an experience. Is that what your face was? That's what I took it at.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but we have an experienced veteran Warriors team that's been here. I think it's now, 7 out of the last 9 years? It's 6 out of the last 8 years? Something crazy. Something LeBron-like. Only something LeBron and Michael Jordan can do. With all that being said, though, you have a young Celtics team who have, again, surpassed all expectations for the season. First-year head coach being led by the double-headed monster of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Can it be enough for the cold city of Boston, in the sunshine state of California? Well, California, not even the sunshine state, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Bro, while we're at the same finish line, I think we're getting there a little bit differently. So I think the Golden State Warriors are going to win this too. But I think Boston's very capable. So I have this going in 6 or 7 to Golden State. And that's because Golden State is the true 3 and layups offense, right? That's Steph, Clay. They got monsters on the perimeter. Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole. And then they have Kevon Looney, Draymond inside, right? Boston kind of matchups well. We know how good their defense is.
Didn't even mention Andrew Wiggins, who's an all-star.
Andrew Wiggins, another beast from the perimeter. My fault. But
you good.
Boston defense is for real, man. And we got to look at this run that they've already made and who they've beaten. And if they were to pull this off, which I think is in their grasp, obviously, right? They're here. They're going to play 7 games, if not 4 at least. But I think it's a possibility. I think it's a possibility just because of how they match up. You got Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, all plus defenders. I think it's going to be closer than 5 games. But what I really wanted to get to, what I really wanted to discuss with you, is that many credit Dirk Nowitzki with the toughest road to the finals, toughest road to a championship in the last 22 years, since 2000. And that happened in 2011 when he faced Portland in round 1. That was LaMarcus Aldridge, Brandon Roy. Lakers, the defending champs in round 2, Kobe, Paul, Bynum. OKC, the year before they made their run to the finals, and then chopped it off with the big 3 Heatles the year before they went back-to-back. Now, what Boston already has done, defeated the Nets, KD and Kyrie. That's pretty comparable to the Miami Big 3, right? In 2011 for Dallas, LeBron was the best player that Dirk faced. In 2022 for Boston, KD was the best player that Boston has faced. And unforeseen collapses from both of those stud players in these championship years for the underdog teams. Okay, then we had Boston play the Milwaukee Bucks, again, defending champs. It's crazy the parallels where we had Dallas play the defending champs Lakers and the arguable best player at the time, Kobe, versus arguable best player at the time, Giannis. Oh, I guess I just diffused what I said. But either way, about KD being the best player.
Yeah.
Either
I was
way,
gonna say that, but I was gonna let you do your thing, brother. I know how that goes.
I didn't even realize that. I take that back. Giannis, as I've said on record, he's still my best player. But to continue with the comparison, then you had the conference finals. They just beat the Heat, who are the number 1 seed. I think that's most lines up with the Portland matchup. And then Golden State, the truest of true dynasties. If they are able to pull this off, this is legitimately the hardest run to the finals that we've seen in the last 20 years.
Beautiful point. And for me, although I'm not 100% there, I do agree with you. This is one of the hardest runs to the finals we've ever seen. The only reason why I'm giving a little credit to Dirk is because of some of the names that he faced. I'm not even thinking about the first round. I'm thinking about Kobe, Pau, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. When you say it like that, it sounds crazy, right? But in the same breath, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Giannis Antetokounmpo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jimmy, we'll throw Jimmy in there.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Although I'm with you on the comparison to the final, I would have thought that you would have compared the Heatles to the Warriors, right? Because of the amount of talent on both teams. But with all that being said, bro, you're spot on with that. I'm going to give Dirk the slight nudge because of the timing of everything in the league. LeBron had just made his announcement. But if Jason Tatum and them can do it in convincing fashion and confidently beat the Warriors, I'm not saying sneak it out in 7 games. I'm saying if they surprise us and beat us in 5 and 6, beat them in 5 and 6, we got to throw some respect on that name. Because you mentioned again, Kevin Durant, top 3 guy in the league. Giannis, top 3. I think this season has been, like you mentioned, the best player in the NBA. I think Kevin Durant is the best player in the world right now. LeBron can be. He's 38. You know what I'm saying? He's still in that conversation. But Giannis is in the best form. You know what I mean? So regardless, though, we're still on the same page, right? But they have a very, very tough opponent in these Golden State Warriors, right? And the surprising thing is, this Warriors team has got their chemistry back. Like they weren't battling injuries all season. It looks like they played 82 games with this roster. They're on fire, man. And the more games they play together, the scarier it's going to be. But I'm quick to, you know what I'm saying, just kind of toss away the Celtics, right? But we can't forget what they did to get here. You know what I mean? They have a solid squad. And you mentioned it. Their defense is arguably the best in the league. Marcus Smart is going to put some clamps on Steph, as much as you can clamp Steph, right? They have probably the best possible matchup for the Golden State Warriors. You know what I mean?
Facts. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait. I'm pissed we got to wait till Thursday. This hiatus is crazy. 5 days we got? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's 4 days we got to wait to see game 1. But I'll tell you what, on Thursday, I'm going to be ready, popcorn in hand, to watch a heavyweight bout between the Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors. And on that Monday following game 2 or game 3, we're going to be back here to break it all down.
Yes, sir, man. And it's going to be a colossal series, man. And just quick to mention, the last time the Celtics and the Warriors faced off, it was Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. So we gotta throw that out there. You know what I'm saying? Over 50 years. So, yeah.
That was a heavyweight match too, man.
Very
Yo,
heavy.
I gotta ask you, did you see that video of Kyle Lowry, Megan Thee Stallion, running that 40-yard dash?
Hold on, before you even say that, I love how, yes, I did see that video of Kyle the Stallion. No, I'm playing. But, no, I haven't seen that video of Meg the Stallion, bro.
Oh, you didn't? I sent it to the group chat. It was funny. It was funny because I think it was just some like pre-draft NFL hype video, and they had Meg out there like doing some combine drills. But they put in a voiceover of someone talking about another prospect, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Oh, man, now I gotta see that, man.
With that lower body, it's unbelievable. Look at the body. Look at that bubble butt. Thighs. I mean, they're power generators, right?
No way. Yo, I'm glad that you told me that that's Meg the Stallion, though. Not to say that makes it any better, but I'm glad that you told me that was Meg the Stallion before you played that clip. Because I would have had a lot of questions for that draft announcer for sure. Still got a lot of questions. I don't know. Ooh, but that's jokes. He said, look at those power generators.
Yeah, thank God it wasn't actually audio of the guy talking about Megan Thee Stallion, because he would have had a whole different set of issues on his hands. But nonetheless,
okay. Oh, I didn't actually know that. I thought, okay, you see, because I took it out of context. Yes, do not cancel that guy.
Facts.
Yes. Yeah, guys, man, as you know, we've been doing a lot to get more content out to you guys. More YouTube videos, more reels, more videos, more podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep you guys entertained. You know what I'm saying? And with more power always comes more responsibility. You know what I'm saying? We've been having a lot more views, a lot more comments, a lot of love on a lot of our episodes and a lot of our videos. So first off, that shouts out to you guys. You know what I'm saying? But second off, me and Ty, we got into the lab. We're discussing a couple things, you know what I'm saying? And thought, what better way than to include our fans, our family into the podcast? Ty, why don't you break it down for them, brother?
Yes, and just a little more background. This was all inspired by one of our loyal listeners. This guy is always commenting, interacting on our post, and that's something we love. We love to talk to the people that are enjoying and consuming our content. Because, obviously, we're trying to make the best show possible, the best videos possible. And it's all for the people that are listening. So Stifism, big shout out to you. You had the idea for us to do some countdowns and videos on the best plays of the season and playoffs. So we're going to deliver. We're going to do that for you. So be on the lookout for that. If you're not following us already on our YouTube, TikTok, that's Hoop Plug. Just search Hoop Plug and you're going to find us on both. Be locked in because we're going to be dropping those videos soon. So big shouts out to you. Another one. Fick, loyal listener, previous guest on the podcast, has also inspired a new segment called What If, where we'll be discussing scenarios that almost happened in the NBA and their potential impacts on the game. So that's going to be debuting the week after the finals concludes. So be on the lookout. There's going to be a Hoop Plug summer, y'all. I just want y'all to know that, all right? Just because NBA stopped doesn't mean we stopped, all right? So be on the lookout. We are going to keep coming full-fledged with the greatness.
Man, Ty just created the hashtag of the year, man. Hashtag of the summer. Self-explanatory, right? Guys, make sure everywhere you go, it's a hashtag Hoop Plug Summer. You know what I'm saying? And it wouldn't be right if I also shouted out the boys, them. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm saying your YouTube name, your social media name right. Stifism, bro. You've been one of the most loyal supporters outside of our group of family and friends that we personally know, bro. So I want to give you a huge shout out, man. Much love. Message us, man. Maybe we can get up. We could chop it up about something. Maybe we could even have you on the pod at some point, bro. You know what I'm saying? We got to show the love. Return the love that you've been showing, bro. So shouts out to you guys. Y'all check him out. I don't know if he does any content or anything, but we going to get up with him. And who else better than the bro, man? And I feel it's only right if I shout out Fick, I shout out my boy Dilly Z, who's hardworking at real estate right now. So he doesn't have all the time to tune in week to week, but he always does catch up. When he catches up, it's 4 or 5 eps and videos at a time. But with that being said, though, shouts out to Dilly Z, but huge shouts out to my boy Fick. You know, he brought this suggestion to us. He's been a constant listener, a constant contributor to the podcast, man. And, man, shouts out to you, bro. And just not to be corny, it's the day after my 26th birthday. I met these guys when I was 18 years old. And a lot of the stuff that we were talking about back then is really starting to come into fruition, guys. So I'm proud of you guys, proud of the gang. You know what I'm saying? And sky's the limit, you know?
Sky's the limit. What better way to end the 67th episode of The Hoop Plug but with some love for the fans? All right, Firas, as always, let them know where we put that flavor.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and put some flavor in your ear.
Peace.